y'all, and welcome to what I hope becomes a midweek mini episode. Alex may or may not be with us each week because he's a senior this year and he's pretty busy, so we're just going to take it week by week. Now, have you ever heard the story of the alien abduction of Barney and Betty Hill? It's not a new story, and I had heard it before, and I'm sure there's been hundreds, if not thousands, of podcast episodes dedicated to them, but I couldn't let that stop me from doing my own. Barney and Betty were a young married couple, and on a night in September of 1961, they were coming home to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They had been on a road trip through Montreal and Niagara Falls when they noticed a light in the sky that seemed to be following them. They also realized they hadn't passed another car for many miles. Now, they said that the light that was following them looked like a shooting star, but with each mile that passed, it got bigger and brighter. Barney told Betty that it was more than likely a satellite that had gotten, off of course, or off of track or whatever, just to reassure her. But the thing is, whatever that light was in the sky, it zigged and zagged. It ducked behind some trees, and it even seemed to give chase to their car. And they said that pretty much anything their car did, the light would kind of mimic the car's movements. Well, eventually, their curiosity took over, so they pulled over at a roadside pull-off so that they could take a better look with their binoculars. And that's when Betty saw that the light was actually an object spinning in the sky. Now, I do want to apologize. Seems like my allergy season is kicking in earlier this year, so please bear with me. But anyway, further on down the road, the object began to hover just above the trees, about 100 feet above their car. Barney stopped the car, grabbed a handgun that he had hidden under the driver's seat, and ran into a field that was on the side of the road, and he left Betty in the car by herself. Now, I'm just going to tell you that if it were me and my husband left me in a car all alone while I'm already freaking out, it probably wouldn't have been pretty when he got back to the car. But anyway, what Barney saw while he was out in the field was as large as a jet plane. It was round and flat like a pancake. He actually could see through the windows with his binoculars rows of gray uniformed beings, and a voice told him to put down his binoculars, and suddenly he was just unable to raise his hand with the gun in it. So at that point he started to realize they were about to be abducted, so he starts running back to the car screaming. And once he got in the car, they started speeding down the road while Betty kept an eye on that object. Suddenly, there was loud rhythmic beeps coming from their trunk. And these beeps caused the Hills to, I guess they pretty much passed out, and they were totally unconscious. 2 hours later, and 35 miles down the road, they came back to. When they finally arrived back at their house, they said that they just felt dirty. Oddly, both of their watches had stopped working. Betty's dress was torn, and there was scuff marks on Barney's shoes. And the big thing was, there was 2 hours of their drive that they couldn't remember. So what in the heck happened? Betty started reading a lot of books about aliens and UFOs that she checked out from their local library, and she even mentioned this or reported this incident to the Air Force because she was afraid they had become exposed to radiation. In the years that followed, Barney developed severe anxiety and ulcers, while Betty started having very disturbing nightmares. So they decided, it was time to seek mental health help. And this is when they met up with a psychiatrist and neurologist named Benjamin Simon. Now, Dr. Simon specialized in hypnosis. For many months, the Hills went to weekly sessions, and through hypnosis, they started to figure out what had happened to them. So some strange type of craft, like an aircraft type thing, landed on their car, and that's what put them to sleep. Alien beings walked them up a ramp and into the craft. After they were brought inside, they were separated from one another. They were individually taken into an exam room and asked to lay on a table. During the exam, their clothes were removed, hair samples were taken along with clippings from their nails and scrapings from their skin. Their heads, arms, legs, and spines were probed with needles that were connected to long wires. And Betty even had a needle that was 4 to 6 inches long inserted into her abdomen. She said it was very painful, and it seemed to be some type of pregnancy test. All of this is going on, and to the side, there is like a higher in command alien watching. Like, he's been watching these probes and examinations like the whole time. Now, later on through hypnosis, Betty even drew a star map that she had seen while she was on the spaceship. 4 years after they were abducted, a Boston newspaper picked up their story, and suddenly the Hills were abduction celebrities. The story was soon the subject of a best-selling book that was called The Interrupted Journey, 2 Hours Aboard a Flying Saucer. And it was also their story was made into a movie that starred James Earl Jones. Now, right now, that movie is on YouTube, the full movie. I believe it was like 1 hour and 35 minutes. And the name of that movie is The UFO Incident. So if you have some time, look it up on YouTube and take a look. But, now I know their story does sound a lot like any other alien abduction story that we've heard over the years. But the thing that makes their story different is they were the first ones to, mention that they had went through these weird examinations and been probed, and there was time that they couldn't account for. Up until that time, people had just, talked about friendly encounters with aliens. But I believe that Barney and Betty coming forward the way they did paved the way for more people to come forward with their experiences. Now, do I believe in UFOs and aliens? I really do. Have I seen either one of those? No. But I will tell you that I do believe we're not alone in the universe. And when I go outside at night, especially at night, and during the day too, but especially at night, I do watch the sky because I know sooner or later I'm going to see something. And I want to see something. But so far, I haven't. Well, I know that was short, but that's the whole point, is the Midweek Mini episodes. So that's all I've got. And I want to thank you for listening. And I want you to thank you for all the downloads. I really do want to thank you for that. And as always, and especially if you have like any encounter, like haven't seen a UFO, or if you've been abducted, give us shoot us an email. We would love to hear your stories, your comments, episode suggestions, anything. Now, I did change our email address, and just to so that it's something easier than the long one that we had. But the new email address is 3mpodcast3, and both of those are the number 3 at gmail.com. And you can also check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/3mpodcast.